So let's talk about track 11 from my album, The Emptiness in Her Soul is What Carved Her Dark Future, which is called She Was Her Own Worst Enemy, Best Friend, Biggest Criticizer, and Greatest Love. It's a long ass name, so sorry if I said something wrong. Yeah. So it's a long ass name, so don't judge me if I said it wrong. But this track is really special to me because these are many reasons, This album is really special to me. The song, if we're talking about that, it's a song like about every woman, there's on earth. And like every person, if we are just not being, gender. Everyone is their own worst enemy, best friend, biggest criticizer, and greatest love, I feel like. In this song, this is a song which I came up with this imaginary woman I was writing this song for. The first verse, it says, fake niceties and a few good friends. Her mother died of the heart disease and hospitals where her money is spent. Her way up touched every man as if she was corrupt, like a sociopath in a bad situation. She said, education, I just want to be in a relation. Turned off her location, stranded at the bus stop is where I found her. She, in this first verse, I'm talking about how she her worst enemy. She has people greet her, but they don't mean what they say to her. They don't wish well for her. They just say, yeah, you're good. She has a few good friends though. Her mother, which is the lady of her life, she died of heart disease, and so she spends her money in hospital for the people who are facing a similar kind of situation. So her way up, she just did it. She just went up. She didn't work for it, She touched every man as if she was corrupt. She wasn't. She just did it because she wanted to get rid of the problems in her life. She just wanted to, get to the top. She didn't want to study. She turned off her. She just wanted to be in a relation, She just turned off her location, so the boy ditched her. And me, being a man in her life or a stranger in her life, found her at a bus stop, stranded. The second part of this song. So I feel like this song doesn't have a structure. It's just, has different parts. And this is the second part where I'm talking about how it was her best friend. Where no one cared, she stood up for herself. There was no one to say to her to get out of her shelf. When the silence took over her shitty life and the sirens made her cry for city lights, adapted by her environment, a hand on her shoulder is where she found her voice. This part, I talk about how she's her best friend, Nobody cared what she did. Nobody gave a damn, So everybody, bullied her, if you're talking about that way. But she stood up for herself, There was no one because she was quiet. Usually she was an introvert. There was no one to tell to her to get out of your shelf. Talk. There was no one who, came up to her and started talking to her. But she was just quiet. She was in her shell. And nobody cared about her. Silence took over her shitty life. Her life was already shitty. And now silence is her life. Because silence, if you're taking it that way, space is quiet, Void. There's silence in a void. And that's the poem of this song I wrote, which is in the music video. I think I'm gonna make it, and it is in the music video. So she's like a space or a void. Her life is a void. Her future, she is as dark as the universe. And when the silence took over her shitty life, and when the sirens made her cry for city lights. Sirens in this line means the music, the sound, the party music, made her cry for city lights, She wasn't there, but she wanted to be there. She was crying to be invited to a party, but she wasn't invited. So that's the kind of part I was going here. Adapted by her environment. A hand on her shoulders where she found her voice. So she finally found her voice. She stood up for herself, Part 3 of the song, which is biggest criticized her. When she met her imaginary boyfriend and told her she loved him. She didn't have a boyfriend because she had fake niceties and she was like in her shell all the damn time. So when she met her imaginary boyfriend and told him that she loved him. But then she became a criticizer, told herself she was the ugliest of all time when there was no sign of light. That's when she felt fine and said to her she loved me more, but drugs even more. So I'm in this part, I'm the imaginary boyfriend, as you can see. No, you can't see, but you can hear. So everybody, criticizes. Everybody judges. They can judge themselves, they can judge someone else. There are moments when you don't feel, the best version of yourself. You might want to go back to your past self, which I talk about a lot in this album. And this album is really, talking about my past, because even the album cover is a photo when I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, Yeah. And then when there was no sign of light in her life, and that was the point when she felt fine, because she knew she wouldn't get through this shit. She was just like, okay, let me just feel fine in this moment, She told her imaginary boyfriend, me, that she loved me, but in drugs even more. So she became addicted, how do you say, I forgot the word, but she started taking drugs and pills, this damn shit. Part 4 of this thing is greatest love. But then she told herself she's happy without me. All I could do was wish her good luck. And found herself in a situation where she became a narcissistic sociopath. Humiliation of others made her made her sadistic psychopath. Loved herself more than anything. Thought of marrying herself. Died of solitary illness. This song goes through her whole goddamn life. But then, after she started taking drugs, because, drugs help, but they don't help. That kind of way I was going with this part, where I said drugs, one line verse. So she felt happy after that. Without me, she was like, I'm good without me. I did all I could do to her was good luck. I couldn't help her with anything. She was already stuck, I should say, in this situation right now. But then she found herself in a situation where she became a narcissist, sociopath. Like I said, I think I've said it before in the song where I talk about sociopath. Yeah, like a sociopath in a bad situation. But then she became a narcissistic sociopath. She didn't care what people were going through. She was a narcissist. She was a sociopath. And humiliation of others made her a sadistic psychopath. She became psycho. She became mentally ill. Because all your life, because she was a miserable, she was trying to fit in. She would have done anything. Sorry. She could have done anything, you know. She loved herself more than anything. She thought of marrying herself, which she can't do. But at the end, she died of solitary illness. At the outro, I say Germany at the end, shitty writer, best of. And after all the years, I can say she was her own worst enemy, best friend, biggest criticizer, and greatest love. Germany at the end, shitty writer, best of. Just words that I was trying to rhyme the main title with, but I can dive deep into the words. I said Germany at the end of World War II or World War One. You can say for her situation, a shitty writer, you know, me being the shitty writer for this woman I wrote this song for, best of. She was living the best. She was trying to live the best of her life. She did her best in this thing. This song is really special to me, and I remember I woke up and it was like 9 or 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. or 12 a.m. something like that. So 12 p.m. or 11 a.m. And I wrote this song. And that was the moments I was like, I felt fine, you know. And I said I'll make this a single. And the song has aged really well, you know. For me, it's a banger. And this song really feels a part of this album, which I wanted people to feel, really, you know. I wanted people to feel that you're not perfect. You always want to bet the better version of yourself. Like, it can be always the past, because you can't see the future version of yourself. You can always see the past you know, the old you, and you like kind of want the old you, so you want that, you want them instead of you now. It might be that old you was a better person, a better friend, had friends, a better son, a better daughter, a better father, mother, person, human, lover. If you dive into the poem I wrote for this album, this song was: she whispered to the void, a prayer in triplicate, once for the past, twice for the pain, thrice for the silence that followed. 3 doors stood before her, yet none led back. 3 shadows danced in the dim glow, echoes of what she once was. The third wound never healed, it only deepened, carving fate into her skin. In the end, the emptiness spoke, and 3's never, all is forever. This poem which I wrote for this song is probably going to be repeated at the end of the music video of this song, which I'm trying to figure out if I really want to make it up. If I really want to have this music video, you know, which I really want to do, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do. But I will definitely release this poem at least as the promotion for the single. In this poem, I was trying to go with the triplicates, the 3's, because this was a double album, a surprise double album, and this album was released. Sorry, the second part of this album was released at 3 a.m. and then the music video for Down Again and Victor was released at 3:03 a.m. So I was like trying to go with 3's, and total this album has 33 tracks, and that was what I was trying to do with all these 3's in this era. But if you look into this poem, this poem reflects the song, the album, She Whispered to the Void, because this lady's life was like a void. Silence, darkness, a prayer, once for the past, twice for the pain, you know. There were 3 doors before her, like her past, me, drugs, but none led back to her past self. They were only echoes of what she once was, the one peak of her life she was. The third wound never healed, it only deepened, carving fate into her skin, which was her mother's trauma, you can say. You can say, like, anything it can be, Her loneliness. I gotta do this shit fast. Her imaginary boyfriend, me. Her becoming a narcissist. And drugs can be criticizing herself. A meter ball. It's just deepened in, and the emptiness in her soul is what carved her that future, So this song really is the album, you can say. And the emptiness spoken three is never, always, forever. Never, always, forever. Never, always, forever. Which is a big thing, Nothing is forever. Always is never say never. That kind of thing. Always, always be ready for your reaction of your actions, Her future was as dark as the night they fell in love. And her future is as dark as the night I'm recording this. It's 19th May, Monday. I started this recording at 11:36. It's now 11:55, but my phone is 2 minutes ahead, so it's like 1:53 right now. And yeah, thank you so much for this. Love you. Okay, I need to cut that. But yeah, bye.